All right. I believe I'm at least live on YouTube and Twitch, it looks like. Facebook, not quite. But that is okay. See if I can do anything to change that real fast. Give me just a moment here. Make sure about this real fast. First time doing it, first time live. String key, copy that. Okay. Hopefully I am officially live, at least. Yep. Live across everything right now. Awesome. Okay. So, first of all, obviously, intro. If you're not familiar with the shorts that I've uploaded to either Facebook or YouTube Shorts or anything like that, my name is Blake, and this is Ride with EBS, EBSS, electric bike scooters, skateboards. This is a dropshipping e-commerce business that I have started. I've been having a rough start to it, to say the least, but not giving up yet by any means, by any stretch of the imagination, because I'm just figuring out different ways to go about doing this. And one of the ways I'm going to be doing this is by going live on here and just talking about the subject of electric bikes, scooters, and skateboards as it applies to the United States, of course, federal laws and everything like that. Because the main thing that EBS is focused on is electric bike scooters and skateboards that are federally street legal without needing license, registration, or insurance. And, so they're 30 miles an hour, top speed, and 750 watt electric hubs. I'll get into that later here in just a bit. And it's for, they're for local commuting, right? Getting back and forth between home and work and everything like that. Go out with friends, or even just to bop around your own hometown or like that. They're not for, road trips, jumping city to city or state to state or anything like that. That is where I've capped it at for, safety's sake, efficiency's sake, and just overall really wanting to curb this idea that, I need license, registration, and insurance to be able to just go around the street and down the corner and grab a half-gallon milk. No, that really shouldn't be a thing. And the safety aspect to it, too. I'll get into all that later. But for right now, main title of this video, I didn't even title this, I did not title this live stream at all. I just realized that. Oops. So the unofficial title is RIP VO. What do I mean by that? VO Ride has pulled out and exited from my hometown, Fort Wayne, where I'm born and raised, and it's where the business is located and based out of and everything like that. But Fort Wayne recently pulled the plug, city officials pulled the plug on the VO Ride electric scooters, and I really wanted to talk about that first of all because it's sad. It's sad to say the least. To me, I have plenty of thoughts on it. Trust me, I'll get into it. How it was done was so blatantly, at least on the surface from the email that I received, how VORide was stating it was so. This is what Fort Wayne is doing. They don't really want your input on it. As being a resident of Fort Wayne, so they're not going to give you the chance to speak on it. But here's a time and place and date that they can speak on it, that you can come to speak on it if you want to help us out. And so, to me, the email just screamed, this is a business that is having the rug pulled out from under it. And there's a few things I would have thought that VORide would do differently. Whether or not they did, I don't have any insights to how the company was doing its business or anything like that. But the one thing I will say is that they weren't really, the one thing that they didn't implement the right way really at all. I don't know if it's, I don't know if it's necessarily that they tried to do it and failed, they just didn't get around to it, or whatever the case is. And it was also the source of a lot of hate for the company too, seemingly, at least on the surface, from all the social media posts that I was reading, that people are upset about the fact that riders were just leaving scooters parked just anywhere. Granted, they were supposed to, park it on the sidewalk, cockeyed a little bit, take a picture of it, and VORide tells you, the app tells you whether or not it was actually supposed to, if it was supposed to, if you needed to move it or something like that. But the problem is that these things needed some place to dock that was specific for them. Much like the case with Tesla, how you've got specific charging docks for a Tesla, even like the Electrify America charging stations. There's a little bit of problem with them working. I'm not sure if that's on Tesla's end that they're having a problem with it, if it's on Electrify America's end. You watch one YouTube video on it, they say they are pointing the finger one way. You watch another YouTube video on it, they're pointing the finger the other way. I'm sitting here going, I don't know which way, who to put the finger at or anything like that. Of course, City of Fort Wayne didn't really position itself very well in the best light for this, because they seemingly didn't have any sort of actual direct community input. Maybe they're just going based off the numbers, in which case, okay, you can say that you did something, but that's really all you can do. The other part to it is that, they didn't really make any new, they didn't really create new infrastructure. They didn't seem to have any place that you could plug it into to charge or park or anything like that, in the same way that you have parking spaces for vehicles, for your sedan, for your truck, for your SUV, for whatever the case is like that. There's infrastructure specifically made for those vehicles, but there weren't any specifically for VORide. I'm not counting the bike racks necessarily, because analog bicycles, by definition, don't need charged. VORide scooters technically do need charged in a sense. I guess some of them were going off of solar panels or whatever it was like that. Or they, the people that work for VORide were picking them up in the vans and then taking out the battery with the screwdrivers and everything like that. But they just weren't implemented very well. And the other part, and I cannot blame VORide for this, they were not used appropriately most of the time from what I saw. Very often, I like walking around downtown Fort Wayne, right? I love walking it. I love biking it, cycling for downtown Fort Wayne. I hate driving around in downtown Fort Wayne. I will state that very clearly. If you catch me driving in downtown Fort Wayne, it's not on my own fruition unless there's something else that is going on. I'll do it. I hate it. I'll do it if I need to, but I hate it. But people weren't riding them appropriately at all in a lot of scenarios. In a lot of scenarios, you've got people that are riding these things on the sidewalk instead of on the street. Yes, they were made to ride on the street. They were a slow-moving vehicle. Drivers needed to slow down for it. If you didn't feel safe for it, to do it that way, probably get some protective gear, like you should already have. It is, after all, a slow-moving vehicle. You're supposed to have some sort of protection to put on you, just like a bicycle. The other part is that they were not supposed to be riding 2 or 3 people at a time. Even if you're an adult with 2 kids or whatever like that, you're not supposed to do it that way because they're made for one person. Even if you're a super small person, they're only made for one person. If you're a super small person and you're the only one riding it, you could actually get more range out of it. But people weren't doing that, and thus Fort Wayne lost them. You can't really blame the company for that. You can't really blame VO Ride for literally having, since they literally had printed on those scooters, hey, don't ride on the sidewalk, only one person per scooter, bike, whatever. And people were just not doing that. They just weren't doing it. So you can't, being a pedestrian on a sidewalk is, it can be a scary situation by itself in a lot of ways, in a lot of scenarios. The last thing that pedestrians should have to watch out for is scooters, cyclists, and skateboarders. They should be on the street because, A, drivers need to watch out, and B, there really shouldn't be that many drivers on the street, period. And again, I'll get into all that later on. But effectively, they pulled out of Fort Wayne. And it's just, as someone who's looking to get into this space, someone who is working to get into selling electric bikes and scooters and skateboards, to see a rental company of the same product, essentially how the rug pulled out from under them, is, it's just, it's sad, it's disheartening. It really is. We had a good thing going for a while, and we lost it. So, at any rate, let me double check something here real fast. Sweet. But on top of that, you've got the fact that, well, obviously they're also available in other cities too. Fort Wayne is in an awkward middle, very medium-sized town. It's not Monroeville, which is just south of Fort Wayne. It's kind of southeast Fort Wayne, whatever like that. It's much bigger than that. We're also not Chicago either. We're not New York. So we're kind of in an awkward middle ground, essentially. Which, to me, makes it about perfect. Because there's so many places that even I can just get to on foot from living downtown. If you live downtown Fort Wayne, there's so many places you can get to on foot. Or if you live up East DuPont Road or something like that, there are so many places you can get to by foot. And arguably, East DuPont Road area does have a lot more pedestrian-friendly infrastructure. It's not enough. It is straight up not enough. And I will say that with confidence because there are still way too many drivers on the streets on a daily basis. You know, they're driving around in SUVs made for 8 people, and they're usually carrying around, their laptop, their phone, maybe a suitcase, whatever it is like that. Um, you know, it's just sad. But that is something that, this business we're looking to curb, essentially, is that the notion that you need a vehicle to do anything and everything. If you work in, lawn care, if you are working as, lawn care or construction or, whatever the case is like that, where you have big heavy machinery that is yours and you're having to carry it from one job site to the other or whatever like that, that is totally understandable, 100%. If you're a delivery driver and you're delivering, big, bulky items, I'm not talking about food, for, one person, one time use, like Pizza Hut or something like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking like if you're delivering, the truck drivers of the world, the semi-truck driver, totally fine. That's totally understandable. You need that kind of vehicle to be able to have that much space, to be able to hold that much. But as far as, just going out to see friends or going out to, just be out for lunch or whatever the case is like that. The idea is that you shouldn't have to have a vehicle in order to do that just to be able to feel safe. And there's a paradox here that I'm going to get into real fast. So I've been cycling over Fort Wayne year-round every day for 5 years. My electric bike I've had for about 11 months. I'm having electrical issues with it. If you've seen my shorts, you know what I'm talking about. We're working on getting it fixed. But if, but going back to the paradox part, so the paradox here is that me being a cyclist, I get asked all the time, well, it's not safe to be out on the streets like that. Because you get drivers that are doing 60 miles an hour in a school zone. This can be true. However, by me being a cyclist in the street, that is one less driver on the street. Okay? One less driver on the street means one more cyclist, bike, or scooter. Right? But let's say that I get one of my best friends to also bike with me. That is then 2 bike cyclists, scooters, or whatever the case that, let's say you just had to ride a scooter. Cool. That's 2 less drivers on the street. Snowball effect. Keeps going. Next thing you know, the streets are filled with scooters, bikes, and skateboards that are doing 30 miles an hour, top speed, and everybody just works better. They get along better. Some of my most frustrating moments being on a bicycle in the street is whenever I have the drivers that are yelling at me and honking at me to get off the street because they're late for their dance recital or something. I don't know, whatever. They're late for their haircut even though they're already balding. Whatever the case is. It's that paradox that really that most people just don't think of because their end goal is their point B destination, not the journey, right? They don't care what they have to run over. If they had a frickin' Ford Super Duty and thought that they could get away with going over the curbs and, technically the truck can handle it. Why not? Well, then you got property damage, everything like that. That would hurt their bottom line. That would hurt the truck. That would, their insurance premiums. It's like, that's the only thing holding them back. It's not the fact that they would be harming people. It's the fact that they would get backlash on their own. So maybe I'm being a little extreme in that scenario, but my point still stands. The point of, essentially road rage. That's really what it boils down to, is road rage. So, anyway, one thing I want to mention, full disclosure, I do have a store, a web store that I will figure out a way to link in the somewhere in the comments or whatever like that. Again, first live stream. I'm figuring this out as I go. But I've got 2 items on there listed right now. One is the hydration pack, hydration backpack. It carries all my stuff with me that I use on a regular basis. Looks like this. I've been using it pretty much every day for like the last, I don't even know how long at this point, but it's solid. It works. I don't have the bladder in it right now. I need to clean it. But I've got that listed on my website right now. I don't remember how much I have it listed for. I think it's like 60 some odd bucks or something like that. I've got that listed on my website, as well as the electric air pump that's right here. Doubles as 2 sources of light, as well as a charging bank right there. Actually, it's also right there too. That's the out. Yeah, USB A out and C in. But so you buy either the hydration backpack or the electric air pump, and looking to get right now they're available for pre-order. I forget my numbers right off the top of my head, but that will go directly to funding for this business. As far as we're basically going to take the S18, which again, check out the shorts from either YouTube or Twitch, or YouTube or Facebook. You'll see it there. I took the S18 down for right now because I'm having electrical issues with it. Okay, I'll just be upfront and honest about that. I'm having electrical issues with it, so I took it down, and we're basically going to salvage what we can from it and figure out what we need to do to get this working. Me and my business partner, so that now we're looking into what parts we need to get it working again, and that's essentially what profits from selling the hydration backpack and the electric air pump is going to go to, is us getting parts for the S18 and also an electric skateboard and an electric scooter. I'm going to have a donation button up on here that if you want to just donate, because you don't need a hydration pack or you don't need the electric air pump right now, but you still want to donate, that'll go to the video production side of that'll go to the video production business, which I'm using to generate content for the dropshipping business as a whole thing. So, full disclosure on that. But, to get back onto the topic though, Via Ride pulling out of Fort Wayne, very disappointing. I was actually, honestly, before Fort Wayne pulled the rug out from under them, then I would have loved to collaborate with them, because see, I'm selling these products straight to you as the customer, in the sense of being a replacement for your car, truck, van, SUV, whatever the case is like that. They are renting said, similar vehicles to you for a certain amount of time, whatever like that. Me, GM, Via Ride Enterprise, match made in heaven. So I was looking forward to that. Couldn't quite get it. They were in other cities. I'm not. So, but maybe the stars will land sometime down the road. And I'm going to be working towards that. I'm going to be working towards expansion too. Looking to get enough revenue going for this business and be able to actually afford a first building. See, I'm starting this business on the backbone of dropshipping, essentially, but I'm not keeping that as the core. I'm keeping the core as simply being an e-commerce business in the sense that, all the transaction and basically all of the magic that's happening online, including obviously promoting it as a lifestyle and everything like that. So, full disclosure on that part at the very least. But anyway, to move on to the other topic I wanted to mention real fast is, go figure, frickin' New York. I'm not even remembering right now if it was New York City or New York State, one or the other. They're starting to crack down really hard on electric bikes, and now they're looking at passing legislation that is going to require e-bikes to be registered and insured and everything like that. Basically forcing them to do exactly the selling point that Ebbs is making, that Ride with Ebbs is making, that, hey, you don't need these things because guess what? You're an electric bike, scooter, or skateboard that fits within federal law, which is, it's 28 miles an hour. I'm just going to round it up to 30 for simplicity's sake, because in all honesty, 2 miles an hour. That's the difference we're talking about here. Come on. But no, 30 miles an hour, 750 watts. From personal experience, you're not riding wheelies for miles on end doing 750 watts. You're just not. And then, of course, 30 miles an hour, perfectly safe. It's safe enough to the point where if you show me an article that shows the pedestrian and or cyclist on cyclist collision fatality rates. So if an electric bike, scooter, or skateboard running into another bike, scooter, or skateboard or a pedestrian, and one of the two is killed from that collision, if you show me an article that shows those statistics, that show those numbers, and those are actual numbers, they're not zero, if those numbers are not zero, I will show you a fake article. I will almost guarantee that. Electric bikes, scooters, and skateboards, as long as they are operated properly, excuse me, as long as they are operated properly, and they're not modified to do like 60 miles an hour with, 10,000 watts of output or whatever like that, as long as they're not modified beyond that scope, they are incredibly safe. They are way more safe than even a Tesla. I'm going to say that again. As long as the electric bike, scooter, or skateboard is not modified beyond 30 miles an hour top speed or 750 watt output, it is safer than a Tesla. With full self-driving, everything maxed out, all the stops, everything added onto it. And the reason why I'm so confident with saying that is because I have physics on my side. Physics says, the law of physics says, a bigger object traveling at a faster rate of speed and with more weight on it is more dangerous for everyone around it. including the person controlling it, than a smaller object with less weight and lower speed. Fact. You try to tell me wrong, I ain't gonna listen. It's just fact. You try to tell me that cycling is super dangerous? Distracted driving makes cycling dangerous, not cycling in itself. I will stand by that 100%. Or, even worse yet, maybe it's not distracted driving. The driver's aiming for the cyclist. Been there. It sucks. It's terrifying. I'm allowed to tell the tale. Because the driver still couldn't aim for anything. Couldn't aim for me to save their life, let alone, cause mine to end. So, but New York, for sure, and probably other states and cities too, but I know for sure, for fact, New York is coming down on electric bikes, seemingly specifically, because of the danger aspect of them, which, by the way, partially, mostly, a good chunk of it, actually, realistically, just stems from the fact that there's cycling infrastructure in a lot of areas. I've never been to New York. I've seen plenty of Casey Neistat vlogs and other people's videos of them running around New York and everything like that. So, outside looking in, third-person perspective, very vicariously, if you will. Vicarious perspective. They have a lot of cycling infrastructure, but there's a lot of gaping holes in their cycling infrastructure. And that's not even mentioning yet the fact that you got a lot of drivers that are parking on cycling paths, and that you got a lot of pedestrians that are just like, I'm going to cross the street without looking. And they wind up walking right into a cyclist. And a cyclist knows, again, personal experience, we know that we have to be looking way far ahead of where we are. We need to be looking as far down the street as we possibly can. And we need to really make sure that, hey, is that driver going to turn suddenly without using their blinker? Looking at you, BMW drivers. Actually, no, that's not fair. Pretty much a lot of people that aren't driving. No, I won't even say that. Way too many drivers are not using their blinker appropriately. Blinking as you're turning, or blinking after you've turned? No. Try at least half a block. At least half a block. I'm pretty sure the driver's manual says that you're supposed to do it after, a certain number of blocks or whatever like that. I'm forgetting what the number is off the top of my head. It's been a while since I read the driver's manual, and it probably changed, even if I didn't remember it. But at least half a block before you turn. Come on. It is not that hard. It is not. It is not rocket science. But New York has a lot of cycling infrastructure. They don't hardly have enough. And a lot of it is incomplete. There's a lot of places around here far away where cycling infrastructure just stops. Cycling infrastructure. Bicycle paths, bicycle lanes, not sidewalks. Don't confuse the two. I understand in certain areas it may be easy to confuse them. There are distinctive differences. What are the differences? Sidewalks are made for pedestrians, and you can tell because they have sharp corner turns, right? They are going to be, 90-degree angle turns. They are going to be very narrow comparatively to a bike path. And they're usually like, cut up, sectioned up, sectioned up. Whereas a bike path is typically going to be very curvy. It is typically going to be solid slab all the way down, all the way down. And it is typically going to be, it's not always going to be completely separated from the street, but usually it's its own path. Usually it's its own path. There are certain exceptions. But the sidewalk is made for pedestrians, and you can absolutely tell, normally. But there are places where cycling infrastructure just ends for seemingly no reason, which translates realistically into they ran out of money, they ran out of material, whatever the case is like that. Some sort of lazy reason or whatever. But they're coming down on them for that. And so the battery fires thing, I can't really blame them for that. There are a ton of just middlemen out there that are looking to get your hard-earned dollar, and that's it. They're just going to sell you whatever garbage they can find on Alibaba for super cheap, or wherever for super, super cheap. Mark the price way the hell up. They've got way too much in the bank for marketing. You buy it, you have a problem with it within a month, and you can't get a hold of anybody because they're not an actual reputable brand. What do I mean by that? It's not a name that is, out there on social media. Aside from just EBS, Ride with EBS, this business, my brand. I'm sitting here making this content, right? As a way to connect with you online. That is me putting my face and name, attaching it to this brand and saying, buy from me because I'm not just going to up and leave. I've had some things holding me back from being able to post as regularly as I want to, on top of the fact that there's not really much I can say without being just a repetitive, broken record about an electric air pump or about a hydration backpack. I've used both. Obviously, I can't daily drive an electric air pump. I'm not just going to deflate my tire or reinflate it and be like, hey, I used it again today, same as yesterday. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put it through real-world tests. The fact that it's held a charge for so long without me having to use it, and yes, I am going to be putting it through its paces this winter and everything like that. The hydration backpack, technically I do use it every day. I use it the same exact way every day. Today being an exception that I don't have the hydration insert in there. Oops. But I'm still using it every day. It works for me. It's big enough for me to hold all my stuff in it. But that's it. There's not really much I can talk about it except to just bring it up whenever I do another live stream like this. But then I'm also putting my 2 cents on different topics of this industry that pop up as a way to get my name out there. Same as anybody else is doing. They just... The ones that are doing it right, the ones that are putting out content about the industry that they're in, which is what I'm doing right here. We're the ones doing it right. Do your best to not get screwed over by a middleman that's just in it for fast cash. I know they can be hard to spot, but like I'm saying though, and like I'm doing right here, if they've got a social media presence, if they're pouring out content on a regular basis about their business, like I'm doing here, you can most likely trust them. There's, Super 73, they're doing awesome things. I checked out their YouTube channel, and really interesting content. Suron on the technicality that there's a lot of people out there that are buying their products, and they're making a whole bunch of content about their products and everything like that. Haven't really seen too much content from them, but to each their own. Don't... Basically, my bottom line is don't buy from brands that are just a faceless name, right? But unfortunately, you get a lot of people that do that because, their consumer ratings seem to be really good because they got 5,000 ratings that are 5 stars. That can be faked so easily, it's not even funny, unfortunately. I hate to say that, but it can. So, instead of that, see what their Twitter is like, see what their Facebook is like, see what their Instagram or their TikTok or whatever the case is like that. See what their social media presence is like. And I've seen some terrible, absolutely just, why would you make that video on Facebook for different brands? Because it turns out they weren't brands, they were just middlemen. So, that's just one of those things that it takes a few minutes to do some research on a company and see whether or not they were just a middleman after fast cash, like with the hoverboards, most of the hoverboards, not all, but most, versus people like me that are just starting out, and I've had, obviously some failures. But there's a lot of electric bikes out there that are causing fires because the batteries are exploding, right? Obviously, this is a hazard. I can't necessarily fully blame landlords for wanting all e-bikes banned. It's not fair. It's not right. Because a lot of electric bikes are actually using the same batteries that our phones are. Bigger, obviously, more capacity, whatever the case is like that. And they are certified. There are certifications that that these manufacturers, the retailers, should be concerning themselves with to make sure they're not sending over essentially a bomb in disguise as an electric bike. That's really bad, obviously. They should be taking it, they should be researching it more, and they're not. Can't blame them, but at the same time, the other problem is that they're going to wind up running into the problem where some customers are doing the research and they do get into a bike that has all the certification and has been working for them for 3 or 4 or 5 years, and then all of a sudden they go to move into this apartment, and this apartment is like, oh, you can't have that. What is somebody supposed to do in that scenario? Are you just gonna, I won't send a lease. Actually, this bike I've had for a few years, it's been working fine, here's all the certifications for it. If the landlord doesn't know about the certifications, they're not gonna care about them. Again, it's kind of a two-way street. But what consumers can do is just make sure that the company that they buy their product from, that the brand they buy their product from, that they have some sort of social media presence. I'm doing my best to be out here on social media every single day. Obviously, it hasn't worked as well as what I've wanted it to. I'm getting back into it with this live stream right here. And I'm just, at this point, I'm also just documenting the process of, figuring out the best steps to take to get my business going. With that being said, I'm making sure to position this business, this brand that I want to create, and be part of an industry that I'm genuinely interested in. And I'm simply practicing what I'm preaching. And I'm preaching things that I've seen work from other people, right? To just put out content and let the content speak about the brand in itself. But getting back to the whole batteries thing, I've done some research in it. There are certifications by independent research labs that both manufacturers and or brands themselves should be using. They should be utilizing them. And way too many of them are not, and the few that aren't, and I won't even say few, the ones that aren't doing that, the ones that aren't doing due diligence, and that are falling short of what those certifications are for being a safe battery, are the ones that are ruining it for the people like me and like others that I've seen on specifically YouTube, for example. They're ruining it for the ones that genuinely just want to be able to get around town without needing license, registration, insurance, and basically to just be covered. It's not it's a loophole thing in the sense of efficiency. It's a loophole in the sense of freedom. To not be chained down to, oh, well, now I've got to go make another payment to my insurance again. Oh, well, the price of gas just went up again. Oh, well, to not be like, oh, well, I can't go there because they've got practically no parking, or the parking is filled up. Whatever the case is like that. So that's really what it boils down to, is just the freedom to go, the freedom of the choice to be able to ride a bike somewhere, ride a scooter somewhere, ride a skateboard somewhere, or just walk. I'm not trying to sell walking or anything like that. Just people aren't going to walk somewhere whenever they don't feel comfortable enough walking somewhere, because there's so many vehicles, so many drivers that are driving, 40, 50, 60 miles an hour inches away from them. But I bet you anything, pedestrians would be much more, they would feel much safer if if it was scooters, bikes, and skateboards doing 30 miles an hour. So, but at any rate, just first of all, obviously, I hope these new ordinances that New York and other places are wanting to push through, as far as needing registration and insurance and everything like that for electric bikes, does not go through. Otherwise, you're essentially destroying what they are destroying what electric bikes, scooters, and skateboards are supposed to be. They're supposed to be financially efficient and energy efficient way to get around. Yeah, didn't even touch on the Texas wanting to implement a $200 additional year fee or whatever like that for EV drivers, because they're not using the gas the way that they need to in order for us to fund it. It's because they don't need to. At any rate, so first live stream. I'm gonna sign off because my camera battery's about to die, unfortunately. But at any rate, expect to see me back here first weekend of next month, being, this is September right now, so October. First weekend of October, I'm going to try to do these live streams for 1 hour twice a month. 1 hour twice a month, that is my aim. Different topics hopefully every time, or at least updated stories, whatever like that. I'm just putting my 2 cents out. Again, check out ridewithebs.com, ridewithebss.com. I've got the 2 products listed on my website, like I mentioned. Both available for pre-order right now. Profits for the pre-order, profits for the products that I have on my website will go directly into experimenting with, and I'll of course be documenting building electric bike scooters and skateboards that match this brand. And then, of course, I'm going to get the donation. I'm going to get a donation button thing figured out, because then that'll actually go into the video side, if you don't want to buy the products that I've got here because you've already got these products, something similar, whatever. So, anyway, that is all from me tonight, and I will catch everyone next month, 2 weeks, next month. First weekend of next month. I can English. See ya.